Well, hey, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the best damn movie-related show on the planet Earth, the John Campea Show podcast, coming from right here in our quaint little studio. I'm, of course, your host, John Campea. I'm joined in studio today by Ray Ora.
Hey, what's up, everyone?
Jonathan Voico.
Good morning.
And most importantly, you guys are here. Thank you so much for being here, making our little show part of your day. And here's how today's show is going to go. We're going to start off by talking about a few predetermined topics we got lined up for you guys. Then in the second part of the show, most importantly, we're going to be taking your live comments and questions and topics. If you have a thought, comment, question, observation, or topic you'd like us to address on the show, go ahead and fire it on into our tip link at www.streamelements.com/JohnCampea/tip. Here's the good news about this tip link, though. If you're watching live and you send in a question for us to address in the last half of the show, that's great. But if you happen to be watching this show later in the day, say on YouTube after we're not live anymore, or if you're listening to our podcast on one of our podcast feeds, either on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to your podcasts, the tip link is actually good 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So if you have a theory or a question or a topic you'd like us to address, you can send it in 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and we'll just get around to answering it on the next episode. Some of you may have noticed we started a little late today. Few minutes late. My wife Ann is leaving for a few days. She's a big high-powered vice president of a big international marketing company, so once in a while she's got to take these trips. And she's going to the land of Mario Lemieux and Sidney Crosby and the now out of the playoffs Pittsburgh Steelers. She's going over to Pittsburgh for a few days, so she'll be back. I had to help her get ready to get out the door. But anyway, guys, now we're here to talk about our favorite stuff. So let's get things going here, shall we? And we're going to start off with this. You know, it's not the movie industry if there's not lawsuits going on. You guys remember there was that one lawsuit, I think it's still kind of ongoing, about Top Gun. Because people saying they stole it from an article that somebody wrote. And there's always accusations of plagiarism and, oh, they took this idea from me. And sometimes it's legit, sometimes it's not. Well, as Moana 2 is getting ready to cross the $1 billion mark, it'll happen in the next 48 hours or so. Moana 2 will become the third 2024 film to hit the $1 billion club. By the way, all three of the $1 billion clubs of 2024 are going to be Disney films. But just as Moana 2 is getting ready to join that $1 billion club, a new lawsuit is out by a guy claiming that 20 years ago, he came up with the idea and Disney stole it. Maybe he's right, maybe he's wrong. This comes to us from Entertainment Weekly, who wrote the following. In a lawsuit reviewed by Entertainment Weekly that was filed Friday, animator Buck Woodall claims that former Mandeville Films development director Jenny Marchik violated his copyright by secretly passing to Disney materials he produced confidentially for her 2 decades ago. That material, Woodall alleges, became Moana and Moana 2. A court ruling last November prevented Woodall from bringing an identical suit against the original 2016 Moana film because the filings would have come too late. Though Woodall's suit filed on Friday contains numerous allegations about the first film Moana film, the substance of his argument focuses on the sequel released in November 2024. Now, Woodall alleges that fraudulent enterprise that encompassed the theft, misappropriation, and extensive exploitations of Woodall's copyright materials, shepherded by Marchik, who is now, remember she was the head of some other studio?
Right.
She is now the head of development at DreamWorks Animation. Mandeville Films had a first look deal with Disney, as well as offices on the Burbank, California Disney lot at the time of Marchik's dealings with Woodall. Okay. Now, in the article, they go on to describe and say, hey, I had an island girl going on a journey on a wayfarer boat, that there were, deities that took the form of different animals, a fire island, stuff like that. Now, listen, I have not seen everything. He said he had a completed script, art, he had storyboards, all that kind of stuff, and he thinks it's just a little bit too much like Moana. So he's alleging Disney stole it. Now, look, for all we know, the trial will show that there's going to be like records of her taking all that stuff and sneaking over to Disney and giving them all this Moana stuff. And that Disney said, this is brilliant. We'll wait 13 years before we make it into a movie so nobody will suspect anything. And listen, again, I'm not saying that the allegations are false. I'm just saying that, you know, we've seen these things and sometimes there's been something to it and sometimes there haven't. Now, the reason this is so interesting to me is this comes up a lot. I don't know why, guys, but I constantly, and this is where the basis of that joke with Rob about send Rob your scripts keeps coming up. I get people all the time, emailing me.
Unsolicited scripts.
Well, not necessarily sending me scripts.
Yeah.
But saying, hey, John, I wrote a script, which, number one, if you did, that's awesome. Good for you. I think that's great. I wrote a script. Who do I send it to get it made into a movie?
Robert Meyer Burnett.
Aside from Rob.
I always told you.
I always have to give them the bad news.
Yeah.
There's nobody you can send it to. Because studios do not take unsolicited material. And the reason they do not even accept you sending them a script is because we don't want to make a movie 15 years from now. And then you say, oh, this is kind of similar to a script I sent you in 1983, and then be able to sell. So that's why they say, no, we don't even accept the scripts. We don't even accept them. We won't even give you a mailing address to send them to us. Because we don't want to have to say in court, we promise we didn't read it. We want to say we never received anything because we don't accept scripts. So
plausible deniability.
Yeah, exactly. That's why they simply don't accept scripts. And as an example of why I think this comes up a lot, because listen, there are only so many ideas. People come up with similar ideas.
Right.
For example, Disney put out a fabulous little animated film last year or 2 years ago. I can't remember how long ago it was now, called Elemental.
Mm-hmm.
That movie is fantastic. And even though it started very slow at the box office, everybody said, oh, this is going to be a flop. It had legs and it went on to make over $500 million, I think. Can't remember exactly. Ray, look at how much money did Elemental actually made up. But here's the thing. The reason I bring up Elemental is because a few years ago, my wife, Ann Campea,
it's $496.
made $490, so about $500 million. My wife, Ann Campea, who at the time was a bigwig over at Hasbro, she put together something very similar. She put together a pitch and a script for an idea, and this was it. This is what she sent them. Campea Films, not John Campea, Ann Campea. Now, this is the little sizzle that she gave to Hasbro, remember. This was her pitch. She already came up with the art, the ideas, the story, and it was called The Elements of Alara, where basically there's 4 different races. They're all elements. There's even a romance in one of them. There's underlying things of like racism, stuff like that, even the immigrant experience between the different, these are the characters she created. And all that kind of stuff was in there. Now, granted, this wasn't a rom-com. It was more of an action epic sort of thing. And, you know, so she made all this thing. Now, this was years before Elemental ever came out, right? And we would laugh about it because we saw when Elemental was coming out, Disney got a hold of this from Hasbro and decided to make Elemental out of it. But we know they didn't. It was just like the idea, okay, like, by the way, I don't think we're the first people in the world to come up with an idea of characters based on the elements. Hell, even Avatar, to a degree, something like that, where people have different elemental powers and stuff, right?
I think this is probably a little closer to Cones of Dunshire, what Anne was making.
The Cones of Dunshire. Little shout out there to any of you who know Parks and Rec. The greatest game never played. So look, I mean, yeah, we could have gone, well, somehow Disney stole this. Well, no, we know they didn't. So that's fine.
So you don't think this lawsuit's going to get anywhere?
Well, here's the thing. I have not seen the script in question.
Right.
I have not seen, because listen, he says part of the whole package that he created included a script, character breakdowns, concept art, storyboards, the whole bit.
Ah.
Listen, if in this court case and in this trial, they pull out a storyboard where this giant Maui character who carries around a giant hook and turns into an eagle and stuff like that. I mean, listen, there may be credibility to this. If he can prove through a paper trail that this former executive actually did take his stuff and then sneaked it over to Disney, because that he gave this stuff to this executive is not in question. He did. But he's alleging she then took it and snuck it over to Disney and gave it to them.
Mm-hmm.
Now, and if there's a paper trail to prove that, then there is something to it. I'm just saying, for a lot of these types of situations where it's, hey, that's very similar to something I created before, that might be true, but it doesn't mean they took it. It might just mean somebody else came up with a similar idea.
Now, we'll let's say the evidence is, pretty good. With the amount of time that he waited to bring this lawsuit forward, would that affect his case?
Like it said in the story,
right,
he tried to bring a lawsuit against the first Moana that came out in 2016, and they said it's too late. But Moana 2 just came out.
I got.
So he's bringing the lawsuit based on Moana 2,
totally missed that
right? So, as somebody in the live chat said, he can't sue Disney. He signed up to Disney Plus.
Mm-hmm.
Little callback. Of course, that is a loophole that's been closed. But anyway, so I don't know. I mean, listen, all I know is this. Why would Disney create, and by the way, he's suing them for $250 million. $250 million. I just don't know why, if Disney did see this story idea, and if they liked it, number one, why they would wait a decade to make it. Or number two, it would have just been way easier for them to go, oh, who wrote this? This guy? Hey, dude, we'll give you $100,000. We want the rights to this. And he would have sold it like that. Like, it just strikes me that it would be far easier and far less headaches for Disney and so much more simple to just, oh, who's the guy who did it? This guy? Hey, we want to cut you a check. And, guys like that, they're not going to, you don't know if Moana is going to be a hit or not, right? So you probably set it for $100,000, $200,000. Great. Now we have no headaches. Now we have no worries. All simple, all tied up. Great. I don't know why Disney would engage in some elaborate plot to do it. But again, I'm not saying this guy is wrong. I haven't seen the evidence. Maybe the evidence points out he's right. I have to admit, I do approach these types of lawsuits with a little bit of dubiousness.
Maybe he did ask for $250 million, and they're like, no, we'll just steal it from you. We'll just steal it from you.
Yeah. So anyway, it'll be interesting to see how this. Usually, this turns into much ado about nothing. But hey, if he's got the evidence, and we'll find if they do. I'm just saying, if it turns out that the evidence is coincidence, if he says, "Look, Judge, this sounds a lot like what I did." Well, that's not proof that somebody engaged in a criminal enterprise to steal your stuff, take it over somewhere, and then Disney knowingly took stolen material and developed it without ever wanting to compensate the creator. It's going to be tough, but we'll have to see what the evidence points to.
He's like, I even brought in The Rock to do
even
the voice
Dwayne Johnson
for the samples.
This guy talked to me 20 years ago. I said, damn it, we should take this to Disney. Like maybe The Rock is a star witness. I don't know. Hey, guys, whatever you think about this whole thing, jump on down into the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this, shall we? A new film that's in theaters right now, Better Man. The story of Robbie Williams, who I don't know who that is. Apparently, he's a super major global music star. And maybe if you actually sang me one or two of his songs, I go, oh, okay. But I honestly don't know him. I mean, I've heard the name. I don't know his career. That's fine. But a biopic about Robbie Williams with the added twist that instead of just showing an actor playing Robbie Williams, they made a CGI monkey.
I got to be honest, this sounds a lot like a story I came up with about 13 years ago.
I think you better sue Robbie Williams. I think $250 million would be a good goal. Or maybe you could sue them for that much, but you'll never get it. You know why? Oh my God, this movie is flopping hard. I mean, this is going to be on a larger flop scale than Craven. I'm not saying it's a worse movie than Craven. As a matter of fact, the critic scores are very good. Can you look up the RT score for Better Man?
Sure.
But all the reviews I've heard about Better Man are saying it's a very, very good movie.
I got to hear.
Oh, you got it.
Which I'm not surprised because it's directed by the same guy who directed The Greatest Showman.
It's 88 out of 153 reviews.
It's
It's certified fresh.
88%. Everybody I have personally talked to that has seen this movie, and I have no interest in seeing it because I think the whole concept of, hey, it's pretending like it's a CGI monkey character, but nobody in the movie acknowledges that. It's just pretending like it's a guy, and it doesn't interest me. So I'm not going to go see it. But everybody I've talked to who's seen it says it's really quite good. And again, not surprised because it's the same director who did Greatest Showman, and he's great. But get this. This comes to us. The article writes, also entering wide release over the weekend was Robbie Williams' movie Better Man. One of the more audacious spins on the music biopic in recent years, rather than going the more traditional route of Elton John's Rocket Man or Elvis Presley's Elvis, the British pop star is portrayed by a CGI chimpanzee in Michael Gracey's film. The Paramount Pictures release, made for $110 million, acquired for the distribution rights by Paramount for $25 million, didn't catch on much better in Williams' previous forays in the United States. It tanked with $1.1 million in ticket sales.
Oof.
From over 1,200, almost 1,300 locations in the United States. Gracey's previous film, The Greatest Showman, made $459 million worldwide. Worldwide right now, remember, Better Man cost $110 million to make. That's not taking into consideration marketing. It's not taking into consideration what's going to be the theatrical cut, all that kind of stuff. Better Man right now, worldwide, has made $10 million. $10 million.
Would have been cheaper with an actual actor. And not, I mean, they had an actual actor, but just an actor and no CGI.
This probably would have been a $30 million film.
Mm-hmm.
Or with an actual monkey.
Or an actual talking monkey. Why didn't they just save themselves the money and go get an actual talking
they should have
monkey?
They should have hired that Rafiki. He just finished Mufasa.
He just finished Mufasa because that's a live action film, right? Yeah. He would have been great.
You know, this film, like, I don't know Robbie Lawler, but I get that.
Robbie Williams.
Williams, I can tell.
Robbie
is a UFC fighter.
Robbie Williams. Sorry.
Iconic welterweight champion Robbie Lawler.
I get how they want to make it visually enticing to people by having the monkey there. I think the people are trying to do these little creative things, like the Pharrell Williams Lego movie was sort of like a biopic of his, right, too?
Which one?
Sort of. The Pharrell Williams.
Like the Lego.
Like the
what
Lego.
was it called? Not Blocked. It was called.
I'll have to look.
But they're putting a spin to these biopics because me personally, music biopics aren't my thing. I wouldn't regularly go see it. I will say a little
Piece
bit.
by Piece was the name of the movie, by the way.
A little bit, just a teeny bit, just because there's a monkey in it, or he is a monkey. I did kind of want to. I was a little interested.
Okay, but did you go see it?
No.
Yeah, neither did I. And guess what? Nobody else did either. And it's a shame because, again, like,
everyone seems to like it.
Everybody who does see it says it's good.
I might actually see it now, honestly, because everyone's liking it.
You know, I might be a little tempted at this point to see it.
I don't know his music. I don't even care now. If everyone's enjoying the story, I might just go see it.
Yeah. If only Paramount had a streaming service to put it on.
That wouldn't help them make back much of the money, though.
I know, but
either. So yeah, anyway. Listen, I knew right away that this movie wasn't going to do well. I mean, I just saw it. I'm like, who's going to go watch this? Even I didn't think it would flop this hard. I mean, $1.1 million on its wide release opening weekend, over 1,300 screens. I mean, even I wasn't going to guess that low. I mean, this is going to be one of the biggest financial disaster movies of the year. And it is a shame considering everybody I've talked to says it's good. By the way, Popopic in the live chat is saying Robbie Williams has 14 #1 UK albums and 7 #1 singles.
Yeah.
I mean, okay, so clearly, huge superstar.
And we've heard
but even in the
songs.
UK,
we've heard some of his songs. We just don't know it's
Sure,
his
I just
song.
know what they are. But again, this goes to prove that just because you take somebody who's famous in something and drop them into a movie, that doesn't automatically. Remember, we had this big discussion when Bad Bunny was going to do, what was the name of the movie he was going to do?
The Wrestler.
Muerta, right?
Yeah, Muerta, yeah.
And like there was this big debate. No, John, you don't understand. That movie's going to make $1 billion now because Bad Bunny's in it. I'm like, listen, there's no doubting. By the way, Ann and I went to the Bad Bunny concert in Las Vegas last year. Pretty thumping, dude. It was a great show. We had a great time at it. I think I was the only Caucasian dude there, but whatever. It was awesome. It was a really good show. But like, just because you take somebody who's famous in one thing, what's her name? Taylor Swift was in Cats. Nobody went to go see Cats.
Cats and See How They Run. Not See How They Run. What was the other one?
Oh, yeah. I know the one with Margot Robbie and John David Washington.
Right.
And that,
See how.
And nobody went to go see that. So, like, just taking somebody's famous and saying, "Hey, look, it's this person." And
Amsterdam.
I'm sorry, and I'm not trying to take anything away from Robbie Williams, but Robbie Williams is not Elton John. Robbie Williams is not Elvis.
This is not a proper sequel.
Like it's not like it's gonna carry. Yeah, it's not gonna carry the weight that some of those do.
Yeah.
So it's just an interesting thing. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? Better Man, flopping really badly. No one's gonna go see it. Did you see it? If so, what did you think about it? I've heard good things. If you didn't see it, what kept you away from it? For me, it was the whole gimmick that kept me out of it. Anyway, whatever you guys think, jump down into the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this, shall we? You know, the most recent Puss in Boots movie, whatever it was called, where he, running out of his 9 lives.
Last Wish.
Last Wish,
like
that was it?
Right.
Was a surprisingly damn good little film. I mean, honestly, the big bad wolf, who I won't spoil who he actually ends up being, but was a terrific villain. It was legitimately terrifying in places, delightfully hilarious, and really fun. I had a really good time with that movie. But the biggest pop that movie got from the audience was at the very end of the movie. As Puss and his female feline friend are sailing off, he goes, "I just wanted to go visit some friends first." And the camera pans up, and he's going to far, far away. That's the name of the land, right? Far, far away. And of course, that's the land in which the Shrek movies happen. And his friends, he's clearly referring to Shrek and Donkey. And it was that end that got the biggest pop of the movie. And so ever since then, people started, guessing and theorizing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the guy who used to work with us, Taylor, who loved Shrek. I mean, I thought he was going to piss himself. He was so excited that maybe there's going to be a Shrek 5. And then they announced it. It's official. We're doing Shrek 5, which I'm thrilled about. Can't wait to do it. But turns out we will have to wait for it like a half a year longer. Deadline's reporting this. Universal Studios has delayed Shrek 5 by like 6 months. Anyway, they write, Universal Pictures and DreamWorks Animation's Shrek 5 will now open on Wednesday, December 23rd, instead of July 1st next year. At the same time, by the way, as a side note, the studio said Friday it is moving up Illumination Studios' Minions 3 from June 30th, 2027 to Shrek 5's previous July 2026 date. So they're moving that one like up by a year.
Mm-hmm.
That's because the Minions and Gru have ruled the Independence Day frame for quite some time, most recently with Despicable Me 4, minting a $230 million global opening last summer. Okay, so I mean, it is a big story that Minions 3 has been moved up a year. Good for them. I still can't believe how much money these Despicable Me movies make. Because even, look it up, Ray, Despicable Me 4, which wasn't the best of the, I still think it was better than Despicable Me 3.
Mm.
But it was kind of quiet.
Yeah.
Didn't have all the talk that the other ones did.
Nice.
So you would think it made like $400 million.
Yeah.
But it made
$969 million.
It nearly joined the $1 billion club. And that was one of the quietest Despicable Me films. So clearly they're going to rush out and do a Minions 3, understandably so. I like these films. I get a kick out of them. But to me, the bigger story, though, is Shrek getting delayed half a year. Now, I've heard some people say, and I get it, haven't we waited long enough for a new Shrek movie? And yeah, I agree. I'm ready for it to come out right now.
But I think personally it's going to do better in December. That Christmas weekend.
That's the thing. They're not just bumping it for 6 months. I don't think they're delaying it because they're not ready.
Yeah.
I think they're pushing it to December 2023 because the last couple of years have proved year after year after year
Massive.
that is the number one time people go to the movies.
Yeah.
Now, in the longer stretch of things, summer is huge, but you're talking about 2.5, 3 months.
Right.
But that Christmas week, those 3 weeks are the busiest 3 weeks in the movie theaters all year. And clearly, Universal and DreamWorks, they clearly believe that this movie will kick all sorts of ass. And you know what? They're not wrong. I don't know that Shrek 5 will make $1 billion. But I ask you, is anybody willing to put money on Shrek 5 releasing during Christmas season isn't going to make $1 billion? Again, I'm not saying it will, but I wouldn't bet money against it.
It's like they moved up the lower card fighter all the way to the main event. They said, you know what? You're getting a, because they're probably hearing.
Well, Shrek is the main event.
No. But like, I meant main event to December.
Yeah.
They like moved them up where it's like highlighted one of their big releases.
It's the big thing. Like they're basically saying this is our crown jewel. Right.
It's good. It's smart.
And I actually think it'll make more money than Minions 3 will.
The last one
Minions 3 is going to be a contender for $1 billion.
The last one made 750.
The last Shrek?
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was like the worst one.
Yeah.
And then made 750? Okay.
Yeah. And people remember this thing very, very fondly. And I mean, you get Eddie Murphy, you get Mike Myers, who doesn't do nearly enough in Susan anymore. Why am I freezing on her name? She's
from
not Cameron Crowe. Cameron Diaz.
Cameron Diaz, yeah.
Cameron Crowe is very different. Cameron Diaz is now unretired. She's got that new movie coming out with Jamie Foxx, which doesn't look very good, but I'll check it out. Whatever. So she's going to be back in it. This again, I am as disappointed as anybody that we got to wait an extra 6 months for it. But this is the right business move. This is going to clean up next Christmas.
And when you hear the classic music that Shrek always uses.
The Smash Mouth.
Well, not only that, but they always do like, other songs.
Yeah.
In their movies that are very...
but the Smash Mouth
song.
I'm telling you what, I don't know that they're going to do this, but it would be a missed opportunity. When I go to the theater to sit down, I'm sitting in my seat to watch the new Shrek. I can just see it now. The screen goes dark from the 18th trailer that just played before the movie.
And Nicole is dirty.
And before even the sun comes up to show the far, far away sign on the hill, you'll hear, somebody once told me the world is... You're going to hear that, and I'm getting chills just thinking about it.
Are you?
I am. I totally am. You put that. I'm just getting I think.
Yeah.
I think it's gonna be like an Avengers movie. I think when that music starts, and I don't know that they will start the movie with it, but I'm guessing they will. If they start the movie, I think the whole theater is gonna cheer.
Oh, Smash Mouth is waiting.
The nice thing,
we need to get paid.
The nice thing too about moving it, I mean, this would go for anything, but the ramp up on publicity would be big. I think they're gonna probably do something like Sonic 3 did with like AMC and like don't talk, stay off your cell phones.
Oh, they'll
but it'll be
Shrek.
A
load of that auxiliary
popcorn
sort of marketing.
Yeah.
Popcorn buckets,
with slime
for
all
sure.
over it.
But you know what? Someone was born when the last one came out. They're 14 now, so this is a new generation too.
Shut the fuck up.
Okay.
Oh my God, the last one was
14.
Somebody born.
And by the time they'll be 16 by the time.
Wait a minute. Somebody born when the last movie came out is getting ready to enter high school.
Yeah.
They're in high school.
That is depressing.
They're in high school.
Yeah. They'll be driving by the time the movie actually comes out. Yeah.
That is depressing. Oh my
Well, thanks, Jonathan.
God.
That's what I'm here for.
Oh my God, that is depressing. Anyway, guys, this movie's going to be huge, and I'm very excited for it. Question is for you. What do you think about this? Shrek has been delayed 6 months, but it's kind of understandable. They're going to put it out in the Christmas season, and this movie's going to make huge bank. Anyway, guys, whatever you think about this, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this, shall we? You know what didn't make Shrek level money? Flash. I can't remember the total number. It was 200 something, Ray, if you can look up that.
Yeah, it was.
But like the last Flash movie, which I don't give a shit what anybody else says.
Oh, yeah.
271.
I thought that movie was wonderful. I had a great time watching Flash. I really did.
Almost half of Black Adam.
Yeah, how much did it make?
271.
271. Oh my God. But it flopped hard, guys. It flopped hard. Yeah, I understand. It had some CGI issues. I didn't care. I thought it was a delightful movie. Like in my first out of the theater reaction to it when I saw it at CinemaCon, I said, hey, it's not the greatest movie ever made. It's not the greatest comic book movie ever made. It's not, but it was fun. I thought it was delightful. I was able to take all the nonsense surrounding Ezra Miller and put that aside and just watch the movie and appreciate it for what it was. I thought it director Andy Muschietti, who also directed Flash, I thought he did a really good job with the film. I really did.
The moosh.
Not everybody agrees, and that's fine, but I was really entertained by it. That said, the movie did flop. Made less than Black Adam, made $270-something million, which despite the fact that you had Michael Keaton returning as Batman and all that kind of stuff, the movie crashed and burned. Did it crash and burn because of all the drama surrounding Ezra Miller leading up to the movie? I'm sure that had a big role to play in it.
Mm-hmm.
People weren't excited to run out to go see Ezra Miller. Did it fail because the DCEU had already died and nobody cared about the DCEU anymore and everybody had abandoned the DCEU? I'm sure that had a big part of it. But not according to Andy Muschietti. Nope. He says the movie failed because people just don't like Flash. This comes to us from IGN, who wrote the following. This is from an interview with Andy Muschietti, who said this. I've found in private conversations that a lot of people just don't care about the Flash as a character, particularly the two female quadrants. All of that is just the wind going against the film, I've learned. The problem was, it wasn't that Ezra Miller was the star of the film, was getting arrested 17 times a week. That wasn't the problem. The problem, we're done with the quote, Jonathan. The problem wasn't, that the DCU had died. That wasn't the problem. You know what the problem is? I just realized this years later. Took me a couple of years, but I now realize it's because nobody likes the Flash. To which I would say, really? Because, CW did a little show called The Flash.
Yeah.
And correct me in the live chat if I'm wrong, but I think it lasted like 7 seasons. I think it got like 7 seasons. Now, granted, it wasn't the highest
I think it
viewed
was 9,
show.
actually.
What's that?
9.
Was it 9 seasons?
I
9.
believe it.
See, even better than I thought. 9? Really? 9? Oh my God, that show lasted 9. Probably about 4 too many, but still. It lasted 9 seasons.
Yeah, it was 9.
I really liked the first 4 or 5 seasons. Then it should have probably ended after that. But anyway, but it lasted 9 seasons. I suspect there's probably some interest in the Flash.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, James Gunn could have said, you know what? Nobody was interested in Guardians of the Galaxy. Because you know what? He's right. Nobody was interested in Guardians of the Galaxy. When Marvel announced they were going to make a Guardians of the Galaxy, they pulled their best Jaimon Hansu and said, who? Nobody knew Guardians of the Galaxy. But the MCU was thriving. You had actors in it who weren't getting arrested 17 times a week. And it made a good movie, and it did pretty good. Look, Muschietti also says there are other reasons. He said this. Muschietti mentions all the other reasons, like not as big as the fact that nobody likes the Flash. The Flash failed to he blamed poor critical reception. That's definitely a part. The criticism of its reliance on computer-generated imagery, that didn't hurt the box office because nobody complained about that until after they already went to go see the movie. Then this is the thing. Its placement towards the end of a now defunct cinematic universe and more.
Yeah.
See, that's the bigger, that's the thing.
At least he acknowledged that part, but I
Yeah.
agree. That's actually the front row.
I think the two biggest culprits for the financial failings of Flash was, number one, the negative stuff. The old saying goes, all publicity is good publicity. Yeah, we've seen over and over and over again. That's not true. Bad publicity is bad publicity. And all the stuff for like well over a year, all the drama and all the stupidity and all the foot and mouths and all the stupid stuff that Ezra Miller did, putting himself in the news for all the wrong reasons, I think definitely had an absolute impact on the general movie-going audience going, I have no interest in going seeing that person in that movie. The second big culprit, of course, was the fact that every movie that came out in that era failed. Black Adam failed. Blue Beetle failed. Flash failed.
Aquaman 2.
Aquaman 2. I wouldn't say it failed, but it dropped dramatically. Yeah. Shazam 2 failed.
Yeah, that's for sure.
The audience had we talked about a lot, just gave up. To come out and say, no. See, the reason you see my Flash movie didn't do all that good was because nobody likes the Flash. That's not true. I'm sorry. Now, is Flash as popular as Batman? No. Is Flash as popular as Wonder Woman? No. Is Flash as popular as Superman? No. But to say that the reason my movie didn't work is because people don't care about the Flash, I think is objectively incorrect. I think you can prove that with statistics. That's just an incorrect thought.
And that's one of the reasons why you center a character in its own film. So you make people pay attention to the character. Like your movie should be good enough where like even someone you don't care about, like you actually become a fan of. I mean, that's what happened with Guardians of the Galaxy. I mean, there's a lot of people who are unfamiliar with them, and then they watched the movie, and then they went for not only 2 movies, they went for 3 movies.
Well, you know who is a comic book character that people don't care about? Ant-Man. Ant-Man's a character people don't care about. First Ant-Man movie made over $500 million. Made $519 million. And you know what? I'll say this. I think Flash, and I really like the first Ant-Man movie. I think Flash is just as good as the first Ant-Man movie. I really do. But Ant-Man had Paul Rudd starring in it, who everybody enjoys and likes. At least not a lot of people hate Paul Rudd. And Paul Rudd, again, doesn't get arrested 17 times a week leading up to a movie's release. And it was in a thriving and successful cinematic universe. I think you ought, honestly, 100%, this is my guess. We'll never know for sure. I believe if you were to change out those 2 things and said that exact same Flash movie came out today, but it didn't have somebody starring in it who was in the news for all the wrong reasons all the time, and it was in a thriving and successful cinematic universe, I don't think Flash is $1 billion film, but I bet you it makes $500 million. I bet it makes $500-600 million.
That's why I, for me at least, I think this new James Gunn DC, the Superman movie has to be good. I mean, the Batman movie has to be good. I think it's because when the top guys are good, then like it'll give you more incentive to watch the lesser characters.
I mean, definitely. I think if the cinematic universe is successful and thriving, like the MCU, you can do movies like Guardians of the Galaxy and Ant-Man and have them do well.
Right.
And I think that's why one of the big reasons why I've been telling everybody, it's not that important to Warner Brothers that the first Superman movie is a huge box office hit. That's not the issue. The issue is they got to make it great so the audience starts to associate the new brand of DC with quality, with excellence, with entertainment, with enjoyment, that people like it so that the future movies can do better and better. Because when you're not in that place, you get a really good little movie like Blue Beetle. Because Blue Beetle was a really nice little film. I enjoyed that movie.
I like that.
And it flopped.
Yeah.
You know, that's what happens. So we'll see what goes on here. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? Andy Muschietti, who is a guy I like. It really frustrates me when guys I like say things that are kind of dumb. But he did. He's saying more dumb stuff. Like, hey, the reason the Flash flopped was because people just don't like Flash. I don't agree. Anyway, whatever you guys think about that, jump down to the comments section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this, shall we? What are we talking about next? Oh yeah, that was Flash, right?
Right.
So we are. Oh my gosh, are we on our 5th topic already?
Yeah, we're there.
Man, we've been flying through these topics today. All right, let's go on to this. The next Marvel Cinematic Universe film coming our way is now just weeks away. Captain America, The New World Order. Wait, no, that's not it anymore.
No.
Captain America, Brave New World. What, they don't want to associate Hulk Hogan with this?
Well,
New World Order. Play that Jimi Hendrix. Have Hulk Hogan come out, complain about his girlfriend's, his daughter's black boyfriend,
Oh,
whatever,
my God.
all that kind of stuff. Yay, Hulk Hogan. So anyway, they changed the name from New World Order, which was a very good move. Because again, all I could think about was wrestling when I heard that title. So we moved on to now Captain America, Brave New World. It's coming out, and listen, there's a lot of question marks surrounding it. Guys like me are Steve Rogers is Captain America, not Bucky Barnes, not Sam Wilson. Steve Rogers is Captain America. But they've changed out who is wearing the mantle of Captain America now. And it's Sam, who is actually a really good character in the MCU, played by the terrific Anthony Mackie. But it's a big change. So it's coming out and all that kind of stuff. And his questions be, are people going to go out to see it? Well, according to Deadline, the opening weekend box office projections are out. And I got to say, they're better than I thought they would be. Actually, they're pretty strong, but not strong by Marvel Cinematic Universe standards. Deadline said the following. They said it's less than 5 weeks until the first big opening of 2025, that being Disney/Marvel Studios' Captain America Brave New World, which hit tracking services quorum and is expected to do $86 to $95 million over the first 3 days of the 4-day Valentine's Day, President's Day weekend beginning February 14th. Remember, that stat is not for the full 4-day weekend. It's for the actual 3-day weekend. $86 to $95 million. The Friday through Monday figure is also bound to be 100 million plus at this point in time. So remember, when you look at the long weekend thing, it's not the long weekend total. That's the actual opening weekend. It's the 3-day total. They're saying that's going to be $86 to $95 million. Now, ask Robbie Williams, better man, if he thinks a $90 million opening would be good, because it just opened to 1.1. Anyway, so that's a great number. 86 to 95 million. If it can pull that in, and maybe it'll be higher, maybe it'll be a little bit lower, but if it hits that, that's a good opening weekend. But it's on the lower end for the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Let's jump over to the Campea classroom here, shall we? As we look at the biggest openings for Marvel Cinematic Universe movies, you got to go all the way down to like number 23, number 24, for the range that it's looking like Captain America 4 is going to open in. So you're talking, let's say it opens anywhere between 86 and 95. Well, then it'll be in the neighborhood, very respectable neighborhood, of Captain America the Winter Soldier, that opened to 95 million.
Mm-hmm.
Guardians of the Galaxy, that opened to 94. Spider-Man, the second film, Far From Home, which opened to 92. Thor the Dark World, which is not a good movie, but it opened $85 million. And Doctor Strange on the lower end opened to 85. So that's number 21 through 25. So again, if you're Marvel and you're making this film, and let's just say $90 million, right? It says 86 to 95. Let's just in the middle, just for argument's sake, say 90 million. That's pretty good. That's a good opening. It's just lower by Marvel standards. Now, if we go and put it into the context of the 2024 films, check this out. If Captain America 4 were to open in 2024 and it made, let's say, argument's sake, $90 million, well, that's pretty good. That would make it the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7th biggest movie opening of the year, in between Beetlejuice and Dune 2, if it opens to 90. Remember, it could open to 100, could open to 110, whatever, but it would open like ahead of Twisters, Godzilla X Kong, Sonic 3. It would be like in the number 7 spot there for the biggest opening of the year. That's actually pretty good. That's actually a good number. That's great. One of the 10 best performing movies of the year opening weekend. That's great. Again, it's just that when you look at it in context of the MCU. Now, this isn't surprising to me. It's not surprising. What is surprising, I thought maybe 75 million opening, so it's going to open bigger than I thought. But it's not surprising to me that it's going to open in the, mid to lower tier of Marvel Cinematic Universe openings, because again, you're swapping out the character. Because listen, I'm going to tell you this: if you did Iron Man 4 tomorrow, but Iron Man is now Rhodey. He's no longer War Machine. Rhodey is taking up his friend's mantle and is the new Iron Man. Or Happy. Jon Favreau. Happy, his lifelong friend, Tony's lifelong friend, takes up the mantle of Iron Man. Iron Man 4 is not going to be in the upper end of Marvel's opening weekends because it's not Robert Downey Jr. It's not somebody who we've recognized as playing. It would open because it's in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. It'll make $75-80 million, maybe a bit more, but it's not going to be a $200 million opening like a number of MCU films. Because, I mean, you go over the list, like Avengers Endgame opened to $357 million. Spider-Man No Way Home opened to $260 million. Avengers Infinity War opened to $257 million. Like, Iron Man 4 with Happy Gilmore, I know that's not his last name, but Happy Gilmore is now playing, Hap is playing, is wearing the armor. That movie's not going to do great, just like Captain America 4, putting another character in the MCU into the role. It's not going to do as good as the previous ones. So, I mean, I don't know, guys. I got to say, for me, if this movie actually can open in that $90 to $95 million range, with a new character taking on the role of and taking on the mantle of Captain America, look, you may feel differently. I think you got to take that as an unmitigated win. Like in my best Hulk voice, to me, this is an absolute win. I mean, I think they got to take that as a big win because I personally thought it would open lower. I don't know, Jonathan, are you surprised to hear this number? Do you think they should be disappointed by it, encouraged by it? I don't know. What do you think?
I'm actually relieved by it. I was a little afraid that this, Thunderbolts seems to be getting more hype than this film. And honestly, anytime we talk about it, I just kind of feel like the energy is like, not necessarily between us in the room, but maybe our listeners or whatever in the chat. It's a little ho-hum. It's a little like, all right, well, we'll give this a shot. I mean, they've had to do rewrites. They had to do reshoots. The trailers keep making it look a little different. So I'm relieved. I hope it does hit this, and I hope it actually goes a little above it. Because it could have a good run over that holiday weekend. I hope they stick to the roots of, like, it seems like they want to do a Winter Soldier, like, espionage kind of.
Yeah, because that's what Kevin Feige said at CinemaCon, right? He came out on stage, said, this is not going to have any wizards. It's not going to have multiverse. This is going to be like Winter Soldier. And like, he made the direct comparison, actually, Winter Soldier. He goes, we're keeping this grounded. Right. And I kind of like that they're doing that.
Yeah, I want to keep it a spy thriller.
I actually like all the trailers that I've seen. I think the trailers have gotten better and better, and it's gotten me more excited. They did really well, for me at least, from the ones I've seen, because like every time they drop some sort of marketing for it, it's working for me. I don't know.
I agree. I like the trailers. I do, especially once they finally started showing Harrison Ford as Red Hulk.
Yeah,
right. I'm like, oh, okay, I'm on board again. I've always thought that this movie will do fine. I think it'll be good. I mean, I don't know if it's going to be good or not. We'll see. But I wasn't expecting it to make $90 million opening week. I was expecting to make less than that.
And it feels like, oh man, I didn't finish Falcon and the Winter Soldier, but it feels like Anthony Mackie and his Captain America belongs on the big screen for me. It feels like it brings it home a little bit when I see the trailers for this film. I was like, that's where this character belongs on the big screen.
That's the other reason why I didn't expect it to do all that great at the box office, because it's coming from the TV screen, right? I mean, I think fair or unfair, right or wrong, I think there's going to be a bunch of people out there who just see this as, oh, so you're bringing the television show to the movie screen. And I think there are going to be some people who look at it that way. And now, again, maybe that's unfair and maybe that's wrong. But I think there are going to be people who kind of look at it that way. And again, I liked Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I don't think it's one of the best. Like, I think Ms. Marvel was better than Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I think, what was the one that was just out? Agatha, I think, was better than Falcon the Winter Soldier. WandaVision was obviously better than Falcon the Winter Soldier, but it was still good. It was still all right.
For the side that still Chris Evans is still with Chris Evans Captain America. Do you think if they extended the handing over of the torch or the shield, like in this movie or in a movie where it wasn't just him sitting as the old man, as much as I like that part, do you think a much more of a confirmation of like if they did a movie where, you know,
he slowly takes on the
or
mantle?
like much more prominent way of giving him the shield other than just, hey, you take it?
Yeah.
Would that have been better for the ones who are still holding on?
I think it would have helped. See, here's the thing. You can say, understandably, you could say that, well, you know, Falcon the Winter Soldier was an entire season of Sam slowly but surely taking on the mantle of Captain America.
Yeah.
Yes.
But visually.
But you know who wasn't in that series?
Yeah, exactly.
Steve Rogers.
Exactly.
And so all we really got for a passing of the torch was a quick 1-minute scene at the end of a movie with old man Steve Rogers going, "Here, Sam, you take this." And that was it. And so you did the series. That was great. But I think that if you really wanted to bring the audience along, and remember, not everybody, it's only a fraction of the movie-going audience that actually watched Falcon and the Winter Soldier. So to a lot of moviegoers, it's going to be going from Cap going, "Here, Sam, take my shield," in a quick 1-minute scene, to all of a sudden he's Captain America in Captain America 4. So yeah, maybe if they had found a way to more gradually doing a passing of the torch, maybe that would have brought more people on board. Maybe not. It'd
because
be interesting.
their relationship was pretty cool to me. I mean, like,
They had a great. No, I love their on-screen relationship.
and
I thought it was great.
and they never really went into it as much as I wanted them to. In order for this, like, a passing of the shield to actually work for me, it just felt like, oh, I'm done here.
Yeah. So this movie will not at all be a passing of the shield. Like, this movie will start with the shield's been passed.
Right.
Like, he is now Captain America. That's what the show did.
Mm.
And now we're going to see if the audience gets on board with it. So anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? I mean, the opening weekend projections, I got to say, for me, are surprisingly high. Again, not in the higher level of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but if all of a sudden Hap became Iron Man, I don't think Iron Man 4 would be in the upper end of Marvel Cinematic Universe openings. What do you think about it? And whether or not the movie's good, we'll still have to wait and see. We're only a few weeks away, though. Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to the main part of our show here, shall we? Which is taking your live comments and questions. But before we do, we're going to take a moment to thank one of the sponsors of today's episode, our friends at CookUnity. We want to take a second to thank a sponsor of today's video, CookUnity. You ever feel like so much of your day revolves around planning meals or preparing food, especially when you're trying to eat healthier? I know we all do, but that all changes when you discover CookUnity. Now you can enjoy vibrant, chef-crafted meals without spending hours in the kitchen. It's freed up so much of my time and energy to focus on my other goals. CookUnity partners with award-winning chefs, the same chefs you see on TV and those 5-star restaurants, to create small batch meals just for you. These meals are made with fresh, local, in-season ingredients delivered right to your door. And here's the best part. They arrive fresh, not frozen, and all it takes is a few minutes to heat them up. I recently tried their Mom's Sunday Sauce Rigatoni, and it was incredible. Plus, knowing that I'm supporting local chefs and sustainable suppliers makes every bite even better. Whether you want variety, convenience, or just better food, CookUnity has it all. Reset your routine with convenient, mouth-watering meals crafted with local ingredients by award-winning chefs. Go to cookunity.com/Campea or enter the code Campea before checkout for 50% off your first week. That's 50% off your first week by using the code Campea or by going to cookunity.com/Campea. And thank you to our friends at CookUnity for sponsoring today's episode of the John Campea Show podcast. All right, guys. With that down, let's get on to your comments and questions here, shall we? Jonathan, what we got up first?
First up, we got Chris Jones, who says, "Hey, John and crew, been watching since your Collider days. Who's your favorite comedy actor that rarely will do a more serious role? Mine is Jim Carrey in the movie 23. Thanks, guys."
Yeah, Jim Carrey is, I mean, he's just gold. Like, when you hear a guy like Dave Chappelle just say Jim Carrey is a god. He's one of the greatest to ever do it. Like, and just hear the way he talks about Jim Carrey. There's a reason for that. I would say, though, that the guy who just, not that I like every single one of his movies, but a couple of the guys that I consistently love in comedic roles. We just talked about one of them, Paul Rudd. Paul Rudd, even in a movie like Dinner for Schmucks, Paul Rudd makes me, oh my God, I Love You Man is one of the most underrated comedies of all time. He's always great, so he's up there. But it's hard not to say Will Ferrell. Again, he's made terrible movies, like that one basketball one he did, and Blades of Glory is not any good, but just Will Ferrell finds a way to consistently make me laugh. You know, I was just at a LA Kings game, and Will Ferrell, he's at all the LA Kings games. He's a season ticket holder, but he decided, it was the Christmas season, to dress up as, what's the name of the elf?
I forget the name, but
yeah, Buddy, was that his name?
Buddy.
Yeah, he dressed up as Buddy the Elf, but as if Buddy the Elf was having a rough year and was now unemployed.
Yeah.
So he's sitting there with a drink of alcohol and a cigarette in his mouth, and he hadn't shaved. He just looked real. He's great. And when he's done the odd, more dramatic thing,
I love Stranger Than Fiction.
I was going to bring up Stranger Than Fiction is a great example of it. He's actually quite strong. He's also a really good producer.
Has Jerry Seinfeld ever done anything serious? Or has he even done any movies? I'm not familiar if he's done any.
Yes, but I don't think he's ever done any dramatic roles.
I would go personally Adam Sandler, because when he does serious roles, they are deep. You know,
Here's my thing.
Punch Drunk Love is my favorite of his serious. Although that's Paul Thomas Anderson, but
Mine is Reign Over Me.
and Reign Over Me is like,
Which I thought he should have
Yeah.
been nominated for an Academy Award for that. Here's the reason I won't say Adam Sandler is because I actually think he's a better dramatic actor than he is a comedic actor.
Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong, I love a couple of his movies, but Adam Sandler is not my favorite comedic guy on screen. But he is a freaking awesome dramatic actor.
yeah.
I think he needs to lean way more into his drama roles. I really do.
Kevin Hart tried to do a dramatic
He
film.
did? Oh, he did that French remake.
Yeah.
The
where
remake
he's
of the
with
French
old,
film.
The old
where-
man, right?
Where he works with the guy yeah.
I never
think he
saw
did
it,
He did that one with Bryan Cranston.
I never saw it, but
He
I
did
think-
pretty good. I love Kevin, but I don't see him making I don't see him being able to make the shift to
absolutely.
dramatic
That's not his
acting.
thing.
Yeah. All right, what's next?
All right, we got. Let me scroll here. Don Juan, actually a couple parts here as a follow-up. I'm very sorry, John and Ray, but Craven had a higher audience score at 74 than Den of Thieves. So, John, most audience at least liked Craven at 74. Well, this small audience that saw it. My three worst movies: Godfather, Green Mile, TV show, that's 70 Show, and Heavy Metal. But then he follows up. Sorry, forgive me, I was wrong. Den of Thieves was 78. Scored. Craven was 74 audience score. And then says his anticipated movies would be Captain America 4, Avatar, Thunderbolts, Fantastic Four, Saw, and The Working Man. Oh, Wolfman.
Here's the thing. Forget what you saw about Craven. Forget that. The most accurate audience score is something called Cinema Score.
Mm-hmm.
Because what Cinema Score does, it's actually done in person. They are taken by people, by the company, right outside of the movie theater and talk to the people, actual real people, face to face, and get their reactions to the films as they're coming out of the theaters. The Cinema Score for Craven was a miserable C. Now, to put that in perspective, let me bring this up here. Madam Web's Cinema Score was higher.
Mm-hmm.
Madam Web had a C+ Cinema Score. Now, again, I'm not sitting here discounting Rotten Tomatoes, because in the online world, Rotten Tomatoes has the best system for getting an audience score. But the best and most telling audience score system out there is Cinema Score. And Cinema Score gave it a worse score than Madam Web.
And I know a lot of people are going to run to be like, oh, well, that means it was 70%. Don't look at it like grades in school. If you went to a restaurant and the cleanliness, normally you see an A or a B. If you saw a C on a restaurant, you wouldn't go to that restaurant. So,
all right. Anyway, what's next?
T Magic Infinity says, "Hey, crew, unrelated maybe to today's topic, but saw Liam Neeson clip of his Santa bit from 8 years ago on Colbert. It reminded me of what you said, John, about his abilities for comedic timing. Thoughts on his upcoming film in August? I am looking forward to Naked Gun."
Yeah, I'm actually quite excited for Naked Gun. I got excited I wasn't excited when they said they were doing a new Naked Gun, but when they said Liam Neeson was going to be playing Frank Drebin,
Yeah.
I'm like, this. I think the term perfect casting is often overused.
Mm-hmm.
This is perfect casting. Liam Neeson, because of his image, is so good at deadpan comedy. Again, I refer you to anything he's ever done with Seth. Who's the guy who does Family Guy?
Seth
MacFarlane. Anything he's ever done with Seth MacFarlane. Again, or his incredible, iconic thing with Ricky Gervais. It wasn't Extras. It was
the thing that you
Short World or
Oh, yes. Okay, I have to
where
look
he
that up.
plays himself. Go look it up on YouTube. Where Life is Short.
Life's too short.
Where he comes into the room. He's into a pitch meeting with like Ricky Gervais and what's Steve Marchand? Anyway, he comes into the thing and he plays himself. He goes, "I want to pitch a comedy."
Yeah.
Okay. What does he does? He basically, "I have AIDS." No.
Yeah.
No, that's not funny. Guys, if you haven't seen it, it's one of the most hilarious things online.
And he doesn't crack. I mean, he's on those takes.
Remotely crack.
Yeah.
He's so, when he does deadpan comedy, it's so fun. And and Mark W in the live chat pointing out, look this up on YouTube as well. You can find this clip in Ted 2 when he cameos as a guy buying cereal at the grocery store. It's the funniest part of the movie. He's great, and I can't wait to watch this movie, man. I cannot wait. All right, what's next?
Craig of Georgia says, "I just wanted to thank you for your show. My mom passed away in July.
I'm so sorry to hear that, man.
And it's been the hardest time. Your show has been a fun distraction that I need. I've been listening for over 3 years. Thanks."
Oh, thank you, Craig. I appreciate that. And it's constantly amazing to me how many people write in and talk about the fact that the show, really the movie fan community, movies and the movie fan community, we're a part of that, but has got them through hard times, right? And that's one of the reasons I talk about this all the time, that I love the movies and the movie community, is because like watching a movie or talking about movies doesn't fix your problems. It just gives you what I call a reprieve from your problems. You get to, for a moment, let your mind rest, engage in something else, let your imagination kind of take over. And when you come out of a movie or a discussion about movies, your problems are still there. The hard things are still there. It's just that I find for me personally, I'm in a little bit better of a position to deal with it or to handle it. My mind's had a little bit of a break. I feel a little bit refreshed, maybe a little bit more creative, and you're just able to deal with it better. And I'm really grateful that shows like ours get to be a part of that. So thank you for watching. Our deepest condolences, and thank you for the kind words. All right, what's next?
Future Man 1 of 2 says, "The scene in Dune Part 2 where Paul arrives in the South and barges into the council. I don't know if we fully appreciate that moment yet, because not only did Paul have to convince them that he's their leader, but he also had to convince them that basically he's their savior. And Timothy's transition from this kid to a powerful figure had to also convince us, as the audience, that he was basically a god. And by the end of the movie, he had won me over completely, where I was even shouting, Lisanni. Yeah.
I said this on the show last week, and I don't take it back. I think out of all the movies in the last 20 years, I think the best performed scene and one of the most powerful scenes is from There Will Be Blood, with the greatest of all time, Daniel Day-Lewis, gives his milkshake speech at the end, right? That's one of the most powerful, best performed scenes of the last 20 years. I think a second to that might be that scene in Dune 2, where Paul goes in there and basically takes over. That is one of the most phenomenally performed scenes that was powerful and just it was amazing. So yeah, I put it as a number 2 to that Daniel Day-Lewis scene. Anyway, all right, what's next?
X Actor X Roll says, I tend to agree with John about actor role questions. But something I love lately is younger, high-profile actors expressing interest in comic book roles. I find this an intriguing trend that hopefully leads to amazing performances in years to come.
Well, see, yeah, because the younger actors today are now getting into the industry when the comic book movie genre is in a different place than it was 20 years ago. Right? Because it used to be like, a lot of people forget this today. Like, it was, I remember, talking to Rob or John Schnepp and guys who are a little bit older than me and would often talk about that and talk about the thing. Like, people forget that it wasn't that long ago that comic book movies was like a pariah.
Right.
It's like, that's where you go to do one of those if you have no career anymore. Right? It's bottom of the barrel content. Nobody looked to getting involved in. But guess what? It's different now. Now you have the hottest stars lining up to get it. You even get these iconic, legendary stars who have the term sir in front of their names lining up to be in comic book movies. Like, it's a different world now. So yeah, like when you're talking about the number 1 box office genre in the world, which it didn't used to be, sure, there's a lot of the hot up and coming actors that totally look for a good role in one of these movies to be in. Absolutely. It's going to be that way for the next while. All right, what's next?
Anonymous says, also watched the first 2 episodes of Creature Commandos and was meh until I binged the last 5. Didn't dig the format at first, but grew to love it. The only problem was I kept predicting the main story twist. However, the character stories delivered.
By the end of it, yeah, I was okay on Creature Commandos. I thought it was fine. It was fine, the first 2 episodes. I really quite enjoyed the series after that.
Good.
Again, I don't think it's as good as Invincible season 1. I do think it's better than Invincible season 2. And yes, some of the twists were a little bit predictable. Yep, I'll give you that. But to me, it was all about the characters. I mean, especially the Weasel character. The background story episode about Weasel was emotionally devastating to me. I couldn't believe how much. And the Dr. Phosphorus one was really good too. I mean, they all were. It was really good. You know what? I ended up by the end of it really starting to like Frankenstein.
I know.
I mean, he's an awful, awful person.
Yeah.
But I was really starting to dig the Frankenstein character by the end. Yours is a story of love. I loved it. All right, what's next?
Terrestrial Earthling says, even though Rotten Tomatoes is more accurate representation of movie audience reactions ratings, I also look at IMDb. Despite some review bombing that can happen on IMDb, it shows overall and sometimes uneducated cultural sentiment toward a movie.
I don't give any credence. Me personally,
yeah.
I give 0 credence to the IMDb scores.
I don't even bother to look at them.
Because any online score that allows people that never saw the thing to go and vote on it immediately discredits it. Right? One of the great examples, I'm not saying this happens every day, but a great example of this was when The Dark Knight was out, and there was literally not behind closed doors. It was an open campaign to say, everybody go and upvote, go give perfect 10s to Dark Knight, and then go and log on to The Godfather and give it 0s to make sure the Dark Knight takes the number 1 spot.
Wow.
I mean, and it was easy. You could do that. You know why? Because you didn't have to have any proof at all that you'd actually seen the movies you're talking about. They didn't close down the whatever. It's just, again, I'm not saying that's an everyday occurrence. Absolutely not. But it represents the flaw in any online audience score things where literally people can go. It's why Rotten Tomatoes had to change it, because people were going and downvoting movies because of their own political agendas before the movie even came out. It didn't make sense. And that's why I never even look at the IMDb score for that reason, because you could have tons of people voting on it that didn't even see it. So to me, it's kind of useless, but that's just me. If you give some credence to it, that's great. I'm telling you, I don't, and just giving you the reasons why I don't personally, but to each their own. All right, what's next?
Goofy Sun says, I'm eagerly anticipating Megan 2.0 movie. I love the first one. The writer-director did a perfect job crafting a story that has a lot of depth with a thought-provoking message. Simple, low-budget movies can be surprisingly profound. Well, yes.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. I don't think the first Megan was like Godfather by any stretch of the imagination. But you're right. It brings up some really interesting questions that we as a society are having to start to wrestle with a little bit. But they wrapped it up in this fun package of a movie. I mean, I don't know why, because on paper, it's stupid. If I read the scene on paper before I saw the movie, the robot then goes in the hallway while she's chasing this guy and starts doing this ridiculous little sexy dance. I would read that and go, why is the robot doing a sexy dance? And what does that have to do with anything? This is stupid.
And where can I buy her?
But then I saw it on screen. I'm like, this is fun. Like it's working. Like she's about to kill this dude and she does this dance. I mean,
it was around the time that they had the dance go viral from what was Wednesday. And it kind of paired nicely with that virally, you know? Like it was just kind of cool little things going on. I think that helped. I think that the viral kind of marketing on Megan really helped it a lot too.
No, it did. By the way, I got some idiot in the live chat going, you thought the dance was sexy? No, I didn't say the dance was sexy. I said it was a sexy dance.
Right.
Like she did a sexy dance. Like that's all I'm saying. I didn't
It's
say the
supposed to
dance
be,
was sexy.
It was meant to be awkward and kind of creepy.
Yeah, it was meant to be awkward that this robot is doing this whatever. That's what I meant by it. So anyway, but the movie was, it was really at the end of the day, it was a pretty entertaining little film. I didn't think it was a top 5 movie of the year or anything, but I thought it was pretty. I'm looking forward to the sequel. I'm looking forward to seeing what they can do with the sequel. All right, what's next?
Marcus says, regarding Den of Thieves, production on sequel started in 2019, but due to COVID, actor injuries, war in Ukraine causing location issues, movie hasn't released until now. Also, Bill Simmons and the Rewatchables pod love the first one for what it's worth.
I don't care what Bill Simmons thinks about movies. And I'm saying this as somebody who loves Bill Simmons. I've been listening to Bill Simmons for many, many, many years. Anyway, that I didn't know they started production on it in 2019. That's interesting. I didn't know that. I honestly didn't. Which kind of gives, I mean, if this thing was originally supposed to come out in 2020, I mean, it's still pretty far removed from the first one, but that makes it, one of my biggest questions about Den of Thieves 2, besides the fact that nobody went to go see the first one, was why are you doing a sequel to a movie that nobody went to go see and hasn't found a second life? It's not like anybody talks about the first one. I kind of liked it, but nobody talked about it. Is why are you releasing a sequel for it at all? But secondly, why are you releasing a sequel for it this many years after the first one? If it was originally supposed to come out in 2020, that alleviates that one a little bit. That's an interesting little factoid. That's good to know. Thanks for that, man. All right, what's next?
Joshua says, Campea Crew waited till the end of 24 to make this comment to be sure. It seems for 2 years in a row, the pattern of billion-dollar movies goes animated then live action. So it was like Mario and then Barbie in 23, and then Inside Out. I don't know what DAW is. And then Moana 2 will cross in 25. What's next, do you think? What's the next $1 billion?
Barbie wasn't an animated movie.
No, he's saying it paired. Like there was an animated and the following one was a live action.
Oh,
and then there was an animated and
saying.
the following was a live action.
Oh, okay.
Oh, Deadpool and Wolverine. That's what they were saying.
So
we have Moana, but
coincidence.
Yeah.
I don't think there's pattern. I really don't. I think that's coincidence. Now, if that happened every year for 20 years straight, then maybe you'd have to start looking at it. But the last couple of years, honestly, I think that's just pure coincidence. Still, it was good to see in 2024 that Moana is about to cross $1 billion. So 2024, getting back to having $3 billion films. That's great. We'll see what 2025 does. A lot of people in the industry are predicting that 2025 is going to be a big resurgence year. That's why I told you guys this before. The big saying around the industry is survive to 25. Because everybody thinks this 25 is going to be this big resurgent year. Not every movie, clearly, but the industry seems to think 2025 is going to be huge. So whether it is or not, we'll see. But yeah, again, I think that seeming pattern, personally for me, I think that's just coincidence, but we'll see.
And the other pattern is they're all good movies, good enough for us to even watch it more than one time or bring people along with us.
You know, M. Joseph is saying, not with the upcoming recession. I don't know, man. Like, again, I'm not a financial expert by any stretch, so I'm just some goober. But, I mean, everybody was predicting a big recession in 2024, and it didn't happen. And now the jobs report just came out that was way better than people expected. And the unemployment rate went down, and the job record was high. Stocks are still really high. I mean, Again, I'm not saying there won't be a recession. I'm just saying, like, I remember at the beginning of 2024, everybody predicted that was going to be the year for a recession, and it never happened. And now we're going into 2025, and I'm seeing everybody saying 2025 is going to have a big recession, but the job market just came out and was really good. So I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. Again, don't listen to me about financial matters. I'm just some goober, but we'll see what happens. All right, what's next?
People still like entertainment during hard times.
People still go to entertainment.
During
That's
hard
the
times.
thing. We found that, like, remember the housing market crash, stuff like that. The box office that year was still very, very strong, despite the fact that we had this huge economic calamity hit, and the box office was still good. I mean, so I don't know. We'll see. I'm not an expert on those types of matters. I'm just from a layman sitting on his couch kind of perspective. We'll see. All right, what's next?
Han Yolo says, I'm halfway through American Primeval, and it kicks ass. Beautiful cinematography, impressive action sequences, and one of the most bloody, brutal depictions of the West. Great seeing Kitsch in a lead role. Been a fan since the underrated John Carter.
I'll tell you, Taylor Kitsch. First of all, I didn't even know American Primeval came out yet. I just watched a trailer for it like last week. I didn't know it had come out yet. I'll have to check it out. Taylor Kitsch is going to go down as one of those guys that it is a crime he didn't become a A-list leading man, because I think he has all the tools and talent to be an A-list leading man. John Carter was a tragically underperforming film. John Carter was a wonderful movie. Everybody I know loved it, but it was marketed so badly and it crashed and burned financially, and his career never recovered. He continues to get work, and he's always good in everything he's in, but he never became, and then, he did Battleship, which was a terrible movie. But Taylor Kitsch, so the pairing of Battleship and John Carter, I think that just killed his career. I mean, killed his potential to go higher, because I think that dude should absolutely be an A-lister in this business, and he never got there. So we'll see how this one goes. All right, what's next?
Brian says press releases aren't worth it, in my opinion, especially if it's an announced for something that's years down the road. Clearly, there's been no real development on Brave and the Bold. This year will be announced Muschietti's gone.
To be clear, there haven't been any official press announcements on Brave and the Bold, other than the fact that they're going to do it. Right. That's been the only official word that's come out of Disney about it. And then James Gunn saying
Warner Brothers.
What did I say?
Disney.
Did I say Disney?
Yeah. Probably because James Gunn.
Did I say Disney? I didn't. Anyway. So the only other word really that's come out of it is that James Gunn, when somebody asked him on social media, why is Brave and the Bold delayed? And James Gunn said, Brave and the Bold isn't delayed because we've never had a release date. So how can you delay it? Anyway. So really, because here's the thing. A lot of people in movie circles, like a lot of fans like us in movie circles, they say, well, they announced this. Oftentimes, no, they didn't actually announce it. Somebody reported it.
Right.
But the studio never actually announced. That happens a lot. Like, we get this all the time. What happened to that announced movie of X? And we go, they actually never announced that movie. Just somebody put out a report or a story that they were going to do it. But it was never announced by the studio. So we'll see what happens with Brave and the Bold. I do agree. I think when you listen to everything that Andy Muschietti is saying and that James Gunn is saying, the fact that the two of them haven't even spoken since they began production on Superman, and Andy Muschietti saying the things he's been saying lately, I'm still good if he's the director of Brave and the Bold. Let me go on record. I'm still totally comfortable with that. But I don't think he's going to actually end up directing it. I think you're right. I think this year we find out that due to scheduling conflicts, Andy Muschietti has moved on to something else. Again, I don't know that for sure, but my guess is he won't direct Brave and the Bold, but we'll see. All right, what's next?
Brian says the fans wanting Pattinson in the DCU are as insufferable as the Snyder Bros now. I know people will disagree, but I think Gunn should wait until the Reeves series is finished before introducing his Batman. Plenty of story to tell before diving into Gotham.
There is no real reason to wait. There's no reason to wait.
We'd have to wait 5 more years even to get then, if that's the case.
Yeah, no, there's no reason. And I don't find, there's nothing insufferable about people saying, hey, I like Pattinson. I think he would work well in the DCU. I mean, I disagree. I don't think Pattinson's Batman works at all in the DCU. I think he's great exactly where he is in that kind of a world. Pattinson's Batman works because it's not a DCU kind of universe. It's a more gritty, grounded. We don't have space aliens shooting lasers out of their eyes, flying around the skies. That's for the DCU. But just because somebody feels that way, I don't find them insufferable. They're just saying they'd like to see him in there. That's fine. But I also don't think there is any reason at all that you can't have the DCU with its Batman running the same time. You've got a totally separate universe. And what did Christopher Reeve call it? The Crime Saga? I think the Crime Saga is what they're calling his universe. Anyway, whatever. I don't think there's any reason both can't work and coexist at the same time. All right, what's next?
Andy says, hey, John, Daredevil Born Again is definitely my most anticipated show of 25. I'm surprised we haven't got a first official trailer yet. We're less than 2 months away on March 4th. Do you think this is something we should be worried about?
Okay, let me address this first here, Andy, because it's not you. This is something that happens all the time. I will never understand, and I get these questions. I've gotten them ever since I've started the movie blog. A trailer's not out yet. Should we be worried? Worried about what? We're worried about what? A trailer not coming out yet is what are you worried about? A trailer is a piece of marketing. That's all it is. A trailer can make a movie look good or bad, but a trailer has absolutely no bearing on whether a movie is good or bad. So I will never understand the question. We don't have a trailer yet. Should we be worried? Now, unless you're asking the question, should we be worried that the movie's not coming out? That I kind of get, but the problem is I often get these questions when movies are still like 7 months away. And I'm like, why are you asking that? Now, regarding Daredevil, remember, this isn't a theatrical movie. Trailers and trailer release strategies are very, very different for television shows than they are for movies. The marketing campaigns are structured very, very differently for television shows compared to movies. Now remember, they've already released clips and footage and stuff like that. We've already seen a bunch. So when they want to start gearing up for Born Again to come out, they'll start ramping it up. But 2 months out for a TV show is perfectly fine to start dropping things now, but it's not unusual at all to not start a heavy marketing push. Remember, they've done loads of announcements and loads of presentations and included Daredevil footage and sizzles. So it's not like they haven't said anything that like, shh.
Right.
They've been putting Daredevil Born Again very front and center, but we haven't got a full trailer yet. Not a big deal, especially when you remember that it's just a TV show. So I'm excited for it too, but it's not unusual the way things are going. So no, there is no reason to be worried. All right, what's next?
Samuel Blade Script says, if the fires had hypothetically got to the point where they would have burned down multiple studios, how bad of a delay could they cause years down the road? Would it be worse than the writer's strike or the COVID shutdown?
Nope.
Everyone is staying safe.
No, wouldn't delay a thing. Because look, let's say the iconic studio lots of Paramount or whatever burned down. Okay, 30 years ago, from an industry perspective, that would have been disastrous. From an industry perspective. Today, everything's digital.
And stored off-site, too.
And stored off-site.
Right.
I mean, there's literally... I mean, would they lose historical stuff? Yes, but anything that would actually delay movies? No.
And a lot of stuff is not shot on the lots.
Yeah, most stuff isn't shot on the lots.
The stuff they really shoot on lots are the sitcoms that you see on TV. Yeah. A lot of the film stuff is actually shot off-site, oftentimes.
Like, listen, the studios are very busy shooting stuff on, but you know what the number one thing is that shoots at Universal Studios? The voice. I mean, so would a couple of things get delayed because they shoot on the lots? Yeah. But would the industry as a whole be delayed, like things in COVID or the writer strikes or stuff like that? No, it would be a fraction of a fraction of a fraction. So even if and they don't expect this to happen. But even if the worst case scenario happens and the fire spread to the point that like the traditional studios burn down, it actually wouldn't delay things much.
Yeah.
It really wouldn't.
I mean, not all the studios are in fire spots either. So like
exactly. They're not expecting this to happen.
The danger ones, because they're against the hillside, would be Disney, Warner Brothers, and Universal. But like Fox, not Fox, sorry, Sony and Paramount. I mean, all of LA would have to burn because they're in the center of the cities. They're not by hillsides.
And again, even if that happened, it really wouldn't delay things much. All right, what's next?
Bored Alf says, happy Severance week, y'all. I've been reading a few reviews of season 2. They're extremely good. One even called it generational TV. If Apple does what they usually do, the premiere should drop Thursday around 9. Will you guys be watching? Or it's Friday. It does say Friday still on the thing, but maybe.
Yeah, when I'll watch it whenever it drops.
I think what's cool about if it's Friday is that I'm gonna get Silo season 2 finale, and then Severance season 2 debut. Ass.
Yeah, we're heading into a really good period of time for television here, especially somebody wrote in the other day, said, do you realize that at the same time we're gonna have, I think it was Daredevil, Last of Us season 2.
There's some overlap, yeah.
And there was a third one.
I know.
That was a big major one. I can't remember what the third one was. And it's like, yeah, we're probably gonna have to start bringing back the spoiler discussions.
Might have been Severance, because that does overlap, I believe.
Yeah, maybe it does. Or it was Andor.
Andor, yeah.
Andor. So we're gonna have Last of Us, Andor, and what was the other one I just mentioned? Last of Us, Andor, and Daredevil. Like all running they're all gonna overlap. It's gonna be a great time for TV. All right, what's next?
With a $20 tip, Shrockstar.
Thank you, Shrockstar.
In terms of a great experience, Thelma may be my favorite movie of last year. It's moving, sweet, funny, layered, and features Richard Roundtree's last performance. If you've ever admired a spunky old lady, I highly recommend it. I wanted to see Thelma, and I missed it. She's the one. She like kind of lives like in a retirement home.
Oh, that's the one with the grandma.
Yeah.
She's on the...
Yep, she gets duped by she gets taken in by a phone scam or something like
and then
that.
She goes, oh, wow.
I never did watch it though.
I think the premise is really interesting.
The premise is great.
It seems like a good time.
Not to be confused with Jason Statham's Beekeeper, which also is predicated on a sweet older lady getting taken by phone scammers. Very, very different movie. But I wanted to see that. I just never did get. I don't know if it ever even played.
No, I did, because we saw when we would go into movies
limited.
at the AMC theaters. There was posters.
There were posters for it. I didn't even know that.
Yeah, it's one I missed, unfortunately.
All right, what's next?
Okay, Shrockstar follows up with another $20 tip.
Thank you, man. That's incredibly generous of you. Thank you for supporting us on that level.
Yeah, I was floored at just how good Better Man was. My theater was nearly empty. Yeah, and it's a shame. It has real Greatest Showman feel. The music is used superbly, and I literally laughed, cried, and cheered. I think those who see it won't be disappointed.
That's exactly what we've been hearing, right? We talked about that a little bit earlier in the show. That seems to be the theme, that people who seeing it are really enjoying it, and nobody's seeing it.
Mm-hmm.
I would actually love to. I haven't asked this question before, but I would love to ask somebody. Okay, for those of you who have seen it, is the movie hurt if they don't represent him as a CGI monkey and rather just have an actor playing him and did it as a traditional biopic?
Aside from the budget.
Because here's the thing. It's obviously proof that this gimmick has kept people away from the theaters. I wonder if a lot more people would have gone to see it if they did it and marketed it as a more traditional biopic. Like, it wouldn't have made Queen... What was the name of the movie with Queen again?
Bohemian Rhapsody.
Bohemian Rhapsody. It wouldn't have made Bohemian Rhapsody money, which made almost $1 billion. But I mean, I gotta believe if they just did this, did everything exactly the same, except it was just a live on-screen actor portraying Robbie Williams instead of a CGI monkey, I gotta believe it would have made more money.
It's very unfortunate because it's a Paramount again. They release movies that a lot of people seem to like, but no one.
But people don't necessarily go
like
see
Transformers 1, this movie, it feels like, and then a bunch of other ones. It's unfortunate.
All right, what's next?
Two-parter. Your name says, do you hate Joe and Skeleton Crew as much as you loathe Nate and Ted Lasso?
Well, was there a part 2 to
it
that?
is a part 2, but it's a separate thing.
Okay. Gerard, I don't think his name's Joe, but yeah, you know what? I don't hate him yet. For 2 reasons. I don't think until the finale we have a full picture
Oh yeah.
of Jude Law's character.
Right.
Because remember, when like he didn't just straight up kill the kids. I think a lot of those other pirates would have just killed the kids. Right? I think he honestly has a spot in his heart for the kids. It's overridden by his greed. This is my guess. Because remember, when he took over, right, and he said, okay, I invoke the right to challenge the captain, he could have just killed her, and there, he's the captain. Instead, he just kept pleading with her, say you yield, say you yield, say you, like he clearly didn't want to hurt the kid. So I think right now, unlike what's his name in Ted Lasso, who literally did go out and try to ruin him, I don't think we have a full picture. I don't think he's going to end up being a good guy, but I don't think we have a full picture of him yet. And I think we'll get that in the finale.
He's going to be like one of the kids. We're going to end up finding out he's going to be like when he was younger.
Maybe he went out to chase adventure just like Wim. Yep. I don't know. We'll find out, but I don't think we have a full picture of him yet. All right, what's next?
And then follow up, when Fern said her mom lied and they are going to be in so much trouble, I grinned and agreed. Yeah, because she's like, we just like
we are going to be in a lot of trouble.
Yeah.
Please just come home. You're not in trouble. Oh, yes, we are. Listen, this show has been so damn charming. I have loved this show. And I'm really, my excitement about the finale tomorrow is only countered by my depression that's it. It's done after that, which is so sad. I want to see more of it. All right, what's next?
Declan says, wonder if you have any thoughts on Letterboxd. I've never heard you talk about it, but I find it quite fun and engaging to see what movies your friends are watching. Thanks, Bring on the Filthy.
Nope, I've been asked about Letterboxd for years. I have no opinion of it. I don't use it. I don't plan on using it. I'm not saying anything bad about it because I don't use it. I have to use it to say something bad, and I've never used it. But I don't have any interest in using it, although I could see the appeal for a lot of other people, but just, I've never used Letterboxd myself. But again, don't take that as a criticism on it because I've never used it to criticize it. All right, what's next?
Cynthia says, sometimes when I'm interested in a show but don't have time to binge, I'll turn to my favorite reaction channels. Two birds, one stone. I'll get to be in the loop of conversations while being able to support some of my favorite content creators. I do that with video games.
Yeah, I think I'm kind of the same way with some video games where I'll just skip the game and just go right to the cutscene movie and watch like a 6-hour cutscene movie or something like that. I mean, yeah, listen, look, it's very true too. It's very comparable to sports. Like some people won't get around to watching a certain game, but then they'll tune into their favorite sports show to hear them talk about and break down the game. Right. I think that's a very, very close comparison to what some people do with movies or TV shows. Oh, I didn't watch that episode, but I'll go and listen to people talk about the episode. So I think it's very, very, I think there are more similarities between sports and its fandom and movies and its fandom than people want to admit, which is part of the reason why I created this whole format, because me and my friends would always talk about movies as sports fans in many ways. So anyway, I think the comparison is very strong. All right, what's next?
Forbidden says, I just wish the Doom was done properly before all of this. It doesn't sit right with me that we need Downey Stark in order to make Doom a better character. So I'll question after, can Doom be done right without Downey or Stark?
There's a million ways to do a good character. There's no one way to do it. Do I think having Robert Downey Jr. playing Dr. Doom is a great thing? Yeah, I do. I think it's a really great idea. And I think there's so many cool creative story things you can use that on. But that's not the same as me saying this is the only way to do it right. I think there's 100 ways you could do it right. I think there's a lot of great stories you could tell and a lot of great approaches you could take. There's no one thing. And that's the problem. A lot of film fans sometimes it's like, they're not doing it the way I think they should do it. Therefore, it's going to be terrible. No, like maybe your way would have worked out too, but there's a lot of different ways it can work and be done right. They've chosen the story that the Russos have in mind requires Robert Downey Jr. to play Doom. Have the Russo brothers, while working with Kevin Feige, ever made a bad movie? The answer is no. Have the Russo brothers, ever working with Kevin Feige, ever made a flop? The answer is no. They have together created 4 movies. All of them some of the biggest box office hits of all time, and all of them on many people's top 10 greatest comic book movies of all time. Winter Soldier, Civil War, Infinity War, Endgame. That's been the result. So, there's a lot of different ways they could have done it. They don't have to do it with Robert Downey Jr., but my bottom operating premise here is this. If the Russo brothers have an idea for a story to do Doctor Doom, and that story revolves around them having Robert Downey Jr. playing the character, then I think history has shown we can give them the benefit of the doubt. And I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt, and I think it'll work. Could have done it a different way, and it could have been just as good. But this is the way they decided to do it, and I think it's going to work out pretty damn good. We'll see, but I have got a lot of hope for it. All right, what's next?
Rock Soldier says, hey, John and crew, I saw an article in The Independent that said Jaimon Hansu is struggling to make a living. Despite decades of acting and 2 Oscar noms, he's not making what others with less accolade are making. It's a part 2. If this is true, it's heartbreaking and points to a problem that seems to persist in Hollywood.
I read that article. You guys know, I've talked about Jaimon Hansu for years. He's one of my favorite guys in movies. I love Jaimon Hansu. He was just in Gran Turismo.
Right.
Yeah, he can play the guy in Gran Turismo. I just quoted him earlier from Guardians of the Galaxy.
Mm-hmm.
Who?
And he was just in Quiet Place, Dave.
Yep.
Yeah.
And all the way back to when I saw him for the first time in Amistad.
Yep. That was my first time too.
I still think might be my favorite Steven Spielberg movie.
It's a great film.
Jaimon Hansu is so ridiculously talented. A 2-time Academy Award nominee, not a winner, but a 2-time nominee. But here's the reality. I think it's good for a lot of people to read that because everybody thinks, I think movie fans think that if an actor is in a bunch of movies, that means they're rich. That means they're making tons of money. I remember when, Aaron Cummings, who was a regular on Spartacus, played Spartacus's wife. When she told me the money she actually made for doing that popular show, stunned how little she actually got paid. And that job might represent the only job she has that year. Jaimon Hansu, he was in Gladiator, right? One of the most celebrated movies ever. He wasn't the main guy in it, but he had a prominent role in it. He made under $1 million for that movie. And that was probably one of his biggest paychecks ever. I'll bet you money that in Gran Turismo, I bet he didn't even make 6 figures. I bet you he made less than $100,000 for that. Again, it's just to point out that some of these actors just don't. Now, here's the other unfortunate thing about it. You don't get paid in movies according to how good of an actor you are. You get paid according to how much more notoriety and people will put butts in the seats because of you. I remember there was this discussion, I can't remember the exact movie, but like an actress was complaining that the actor in the movie who had same amount of screen time and everything as they did.
Oh, right. I remember that.
Got paid like 4 times as much as she did. And that is a problem. Gender disparity in pay is a real thing. But I remember we talked about it on the show. I said, yeah, but here's the thing. The male actor in it is a far bigger star than you are and is going to attract more people to the theaters than you are. And that's just a reality. And I don't think Jaimon Hansu, despite the fact that he deserves to be a household name, because I think he's that good, Jaimon Hansu is not a household name. Jaimon Hansu isn't as big of an attraction to movies as a number of other actors who may not even be as good of an actor as he is.
Mm-hmm.
It's a sucky part of the reality. Now, is there racism involved? I'm sure there probably is to a degree. But I also think it's just the reality is, I think if you ask a lot of people, do you know who Jaimon Hansu is? I think a lot of average moviegoers don't even know his name.
But if you say he's that guy from.
Yeah, if you say he's that guy from. And when a good chunk of the movie-going audience, if you say the name to them and they don't recognize the name, you're not going to get paid premium money for doing roles. It sucks. You know what it reminds me of? Here's what it reminds me of. I remember once when I was running things at AMC / Collider, because one turned into the other, I was having contract negotiations with one of our talents. And the talent thought that they were worth more than they were getting paid, which is fair. You know what? If you're a talent or whatever trade you're in, you should ask what you think you're worth. Nothing wrong with that. Totally fair. And I remember I had to sit down with them and explain, here's the thing, because this person had also done some TV work, which almost everybody I worked with at Collider and AMC at some point has done some TV work. And what they got paid in the TV work on a per episode or per hour basis was a lot more than what we were offering.
All right.
And I remember I had to talk to this person and say, listen, I'm not saying you're not worth what you're asking for. You are worth that. You're absolutely worth that. But the role we're asking you to fill, the job we're asking you to fill isn't worth that. You know, you're asking you to be the highest paid person we have here, and you're not as much of a draw as a couple of these other people are to our channel. And why you are absolutely worth every dime you're asking for, the role itself is not worth that much. We're not television. We're an online thing. We're not even profitable. Movie Talk, both under AMC and under Complex, was never profitable. It had other benefits to the companies, but we weren't profitable. And while you are great and you're totally worth what you're asking for, it's just not lining up with what we're able to offer. And, and it was all good. It was a good discussion. It was good, all that kind of stuff. But I think when you're talking about a situation like Jaimon Hansu, who it is criminal, because I think he's one of the great actors out there. I love this guy, 2-time Academy Award nominated actor. He's fabulous. But the sucky thing about this industry is that if people don't know you and people don't recognize you, and your name being in the movie isn't going to be the primary reason why some people come out to see it, then the value your name brings is going to be on the lower end. And that sucks. And it's crap and it's terrible, but it's the reality. So I wasn't surprised to read that article. I wasn't surprised to read it, but it does suck. It completely sucks. Anyway. All right. What's next?
Jake says, am I the only one who feels awkward when a Nicole Kidman ad comes on at AMC? I swear they play like 3 promo ads with stupid swirly swirls before that one even comes on. And why is there a guy with a glass cup of Coke? I think it's the woman that has it. They don't serve it like that. That's so it stands out.
Yeah,
from the other.
I won't go into my traditional rant about how much time they waste before actually showing you the movie. But the fact is, I remember last time when I realized their AMC has 3 AMC ads.
Well, there's the keep quiet, don't text.
I mean, right? Yeah, but you got
there's the Coca-Cola one.
And celebrating 100 years. Yeah. And we want to thank our AMC A-List Prime members. And the little rom-com of the guy and the girl sharing something over a Coke. And the Nicole Kidman ad saying heartbreak feels good in a place like this. Like literally, hey, listen, fuckers, I'm already sitting here in your goddamn theater. I'm here. I'm in an AMC theater right now.
They also
You don't have to play me 4 AMC or 3 AMC ads while I'm here in AMC.
It's 3, but then it's also your screen is digital, or your screen is IMAX, or your screen is Dolby. It's like, yes, I know, because I bought the ticket for that theater.
Again, I said this all the time. I'll just say one more again. You showing me an ad for your theater while I'm sitting in your theater is like desperately trying to get a girl to look at your Tinder profile when you're right in the middle of having sex with her. It's the same thing. Showing me an ad for AMC while I'm sitting in AMC is like trying to get a girl to see your Tinder ad when you're already having sex with her. It just makes no sense. All right, what's next?
Jake G says, am I the only one who feels... Oh, no, sorry. Already read that one. Now I feel awkward. Bry Guy says, untitled Star Wars Disney animated film, director by Dan Abraham and Trent Corey from Once Upon a Short, co-written by Halima Hudson of Disney Plus series Iwaju, songs by Imagine Dragons, focused on a Sith and his stepdaughter on the run from vicious Ewoks. I like the premise. I don't know about all the rest.
Yeah, all the other stuff, whatever. A thing on the Sith, a Sith marooned on the forest moon of Endor, having to run from the brutal, murderous Ewoks. I'm down for that. Everybody thinks Ewok cute and cuddly. Guys, the Ewoks are very well skilled in the art of murder.
And they eat people.
And then they eat you. Remember, this is the most horrifying thought. Want to hear something that'll haunt your nightmares? Here's a horrifying thought. Okay, I haven't said this for a long time. So if you've never heard this, this will keep you up tonight. Remember, the Ewoks capture people and then cook them and then eat them. And then play drums to celebrate after dinner on their heads. That's what the Ewoks do. Here's the thing that'll keep you up tonight. In Return of the Jedi, when Luke and Han and the rest of them are brought to the Ewok village, and Leia comes out, she's no longer wearing her rebel uniform. She's wearing a dress that the Ewoks had laying around. Do you know why the Ewoks had that dress laying around? Because the former owner of it got caught and cooked and eaten. Leia's wearing a dress of some woman they offed, that they canceled her membership to life. And they cooked that woman. That's the only way the Ewoks have that dress laying around for Leia to wear. Here, we ate the last one. That's all. That'll keep you up tonight, kids. That'll keep you up tonight. All right. What's next?
I'm not sure what SO stands for. To Gerard Butler for Den of Thieves 2, opening #1 at the box office, which is Lionsgate's first #1 since 2023.
Wow.
That's saying something. Yes, it was only 15 million, but hey, a win's still a win. Maybe they can rebound after all. Also saw the film. It's good, but way too long.
Oh, wow.
Is a win a win?
Oh, shout out, I guess, is SO.
Like, if the other team doesn't show up to play, can you still count it as a win? I mean, we're going to put this in context. The #2 film was Mufasa, which was in its 4th week. The #3 film was Sonic 3, which is also in its 4th week. The #4 film was Nosferatu in its 3rd week. The #5 film was Moana in its 7th week. The #6 film was Wicked in its 8th. By the way, Wicked's crossing $700 million today.
Yep.
I remember I told people this movie will cross 700 million.
It made a big jump over the weekend.
A Complete Unknown is in #7. This is its 3rd week. Baby Girl's at #8 in its 3rd week. I mean, yeah, it won the box office, but it literally wasn't even against any movie that hasn't been out in theaters for at least 3 weeks. So, okay. I mean, yeah, you took #1, made 15 million. That's not terrible. That's not terrible.
Yeah.
I if I'm Lionsgate, though, I'm not exactly popping any bottles right now, though.
Anyway. I would be. Because they've had a rough year.
Especially, maybe coming off their rough year, you'll take it.
Yeah.
All right.
It's going to be that one obnoxious guy. Boss, we're #1. And he just smacks the bottle out of his
We're
hand.
#1.
Fire this guy.
All right, what's
There's
next?
going to be a parade.
Oscar says, John, you're really missing out on Better Man. The movie's fantastic, really inventive set pieces from the director of The Greatest Showman. Jeff Snyder said it was one of the best movies of the year. Jeremy Johns gave it his highest rating. I really am going to go see it, though.
Yeah, I have heard nothing but good things about it. But the gimmick they're using completely turns me off.
Yeah.
I'm not saying anything bad about the movie because I haven't seen it to say anything bad. I've heard it's great. I've heard it's really good. But I can't bring myself to using up one of my evenings to go watch it where they replace the actor with a CGI monkey. The whole gimmick of it has turned me off. And look, when it's out on streaming, I'll probably sit down and give it a watch, but I'm not going to waste one of my evenings to, get dressed, drive out to the movie theater, spend my evening in the movie theater and drive home. I'm just not going to do it for this movie because the gimmick turned me off. So, all right, what's next?
Chris says, hey, John, I took your recommendation, started watching Shrinking with my partner, and holy crap, I'm so glad I did. A truly phenomenal 2 seasons. Ford and Siegel's performances are next level. Thanks for the recommendation. I'm a broken record player, but Shrinking is just,
if not the best thing on television, it's one of the best things on television. It's charming, it's fun, it's absolutely hilarious and deeply emotional at the same time. If you're not watching it, you're going to see Harrison Ford at his best. You're going to see Jason Segel at their best. You got to watch it. It's incredible. All right, what's next?
Alex, the humanoid with the $20 tip, says, in all the talk of most anticipated, one I haven't heard from anyone is Love Hurts, the movie with Ki Hu Kwan, Ariana DeBose, and Marshawn Lynch. Looks hilarious.
I really like the trailer.
I think a lot of people are on the fence of what it could be or not be.
Yeah, I love Ki Hu Kwan. I also love that there's a Goonies reunion in the trailer with Ki Hu Kwan and Sean Austin.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I thought the trailer was quite funny. I don't think the movie's going to be good.
That's what I'm afraid of.
Again, even though I think the trailer is funny and I want Ki Hu Kwan to succeed, I hope I'm wrong, but I don't think the movie's going to be very good. I don't know. It's just a feel I had from it. Again, I hope I'm wrong. I'm definitely going to check it out, but that's one of the reasons you don't hear it on a lot of people's most anticipated list.
Yeah, it could be one of those where it's like it's good and whatever, but it does like Smoking Aces numbers or something like that, you know?
All right, what's next?
The Monkeys PA says, John, go watch Better Man. Emotionally powerful.
Jeez.
Personally, a better film than Rocket Man and Greatest Showman. Really like both. GS is a more fun cinematic experience, but Better Man is narrated by Robbie Williams, which really works well. Well, it's his voice.
Yeah, again, heard it's great. I have no doubt that it's really good, but the gimmick of it turned me off. So I'll probably wait to check it out once it comes on. And again, I think now the box office numbers have proved it. I think them going with this gimmick has killed the movie. It killed it because I know it's what kept me away from the movie theaters. And if it kept me away from the movies, it probably kept a lot of other people. I think this movie probably would have done a lot better if they had just done a more traditional musical biopic and had an actor playing the role. And I think the gimmick just, everybody's looking at it and going, what the fuck is this? It was a bad idea. It's a bad idea. And it kept people away from the movie theaters. So I'll just have to wait till it's on streaming. All right, what's next?
Anonymous says, what is your dream casting for the X-Men in the MCU? I'd love to see Grant Gustin, The Flash, as Cyclops, Radcliffe as Potter. A lot of people like Radcliffe as Potter.
No, Radcliffe as Beast.
As Beast, yeah.
Right.
I don't do X actor and X role things. I'm sure there's a lot of great actors. Like if they announce tomorrow that Grant Gustin, listen, I like Grant Gustin. I don't see him as a Cyclops. I don't think that's a good fit. But hey, if they cast him as something in X-Men, I'd be open for it. Just make sure whoever you're casting are good performers. Other than that, I don't really care. Just make sure they're good actors, and as long as you do that, I'll definitely give it a shot.
Because I don't think many people thought of like Holt as Beast, and he did good.
Who?
Holt, wasn't it?
Holt. I thought you said Colt.
No, yeah.
Yeah. Hey, listen, Daniel Radcliffe as Henry McCoy.
Mm-hmm.
Beast? Yeah, I'd be down for that, but he's not my only pick. There'd be a lot of guys I'd like in the role. All right, what's next?
Tom says, people just don't like The Flash, says the director whose movie's marketing focused mostly on Michael Keaton returning as Batman.
Yeah, I understood that. But I remember initially when they announced that Michael Keaton was coming Batman, a bunch of people wrote in saying this is now going to be $1 billion film. I'm like, I think you're overestimating how popular Michael Keaton as Batman is. I don't think people are just yearning. Although I loved Michael Keaton in this movie. Again,
I do too.
It's all the Ezra Miller drama killed that movie. And the fact that the DCEU was already dead.
It was a long lead up of that Ezra Miller.
Yeah.
It was like a year of just new
and it wasn't
stuff.
just one thing. It was
Just
you're right. It was like a year where every
over.
2 weeks there was a new Ezra Miller doing something stupid story. And I think that really hurt it a lot. All right, what's next?
All right, gonna move on to our members here. King Daddy Goat says, "Hey crew, hope all is well. Severance season 2 Friday, baby. So stoked for it. Are we possibly gonna do an after show or opening spoiler for this show? The amount of mysteries behind it makes it pretty juicy. Thanks for all you do."
I am considering bringing back the after show spoiler discussions. Probably won't be for Severance. I love Severance. I really do. I don't think enough people watch it. And I might be heading into a period where we have a bunch to do. Because like I said, I'm probably definitely going to do one for Daredevil
Andor,
I'm most
maybe.
likely going to do one for Last of Us,
What about Andor, maybe?
and then I'll absolutely do one for Andor. So probably won't get that going with Severance though. Although I am looking forward to it very, very much. All right, what's next?
Okay, we got Joel, who says, per Variety via Screen Rant, Project Hail Mary, based on the book of Andy Weir,
Yes.
who did The Martian, finished production.
Yay.
Script was written by Oscar-nominated Drew Goddard, who wrote The Martian as well. Release is unfortunately still like a year away, I think.
Yeah, who's in Project Hail Mary?
I have no
forget.
idea. All I know is the author is Andy Weir, and he's I really like him.
Well, I mean, yeah, the guy who I know you love The Martian. It's like your favorite movie ever
of all time.
So who we got in?
Oh,
We
it's
got
Ryan Gosling.
Ryan Gosling
Yeah.
is in it. James Wright is in it. The Ryan Gosling one, I forgot about that. And it's being directed by Lord Miller,
Oh,
who of course did 21 Jump Street. They did they didn't the direct Into the Spider-Verse films, but I love Lord Miller. Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
looking forward to it. This is going to be great. I think it's going to be really good. And of course, good Canadian kid, Ryan Gosling. Why not? All right. What's next?
Next year, we got to wait. We got Amin, who says, right now, without any trailers being released publicly yet, do you think Mikhail can break the record for the biggest opening weekend in October? Joker holds the current record at 96.
I think Michael is going to be the Michael Jackson biopic.
Oh, okay.
did you say Mikhail?
Because that's how it's spelled.
Yeah, okay.
I think there's a very strong chance it could be the biggest movie of the year.
Yep.
It's one of my absolute top picks for being a $1 billion film. I'll be honest with you. I have no doubt Michael is going to be a $1 billion film. Granted, if the movie is total crap, that'll change. But let's just say it's a good movie. It's a good movie. Not even the best movie ever, just a good movie. I think if Michael ends up being a good movie, it's easily going to be a $1 billion film. So yes, I think it is going to be the highest grossing. If Joker, 96 million is the highest grossing for October, I don't know if that's true, but if it is true, I think Michael will beat that easily. Again, let's see how the whole marketing campaign is. Ask me again as we get later in the year. But right now, I think Michael is easily going to break that. All right.
Okay.
Last one.
Okay. Dr. Stinky says, yo, hope all is well. I've been watching Shameless. I'm on season 8, missed some episodes, but recaps are nice. Dude, Shameless is amazing. What's your favorite characters? Mine are Ian and Kevin. It's too long ago for me to remember.
Well, I just like William H. Macy was awesome,
was
in
awesome,
that
yeah.
show. William H. Macy is so good on that show.
The woman who was in Phantom of the Opera movie, she was the main, like the daughter.
Well, yeah, she was also in the Dragon Ball Z movie. What's her name again?
Bossum or I'm gonna look it up.
Emma Rossum.
Emma Rossum.
Rosum. Yeah.
By the way, it also doesn't hurt that like from a strictly what's the word I'm looking for? From a strictly visceral point of view, too, Emma Rossum is just like one of the male or female, one of the most attractive people in Hollywood. So it was kind of like how I think The Simpsons was originally started to be a show about Bart, and then it eventually evolved to be a show about Homer.
Right.
It was right around season 3 that they made that shift, and really the main character of Simpsons became Homer. I kind of feel like the show was initially built around William H. Macy, and then its focus kind of shifted to Emma Rossum. But at any rate, I thought the show was great. Not one of my favorite shows of all time or anything, but I thought it was a really, really good show. Yeah. All right, guys. And that'll do it for today's installment of the John Campea Show podcast. Thank you so much for being here and making our little show a part of your day. Big special thank you to all you guys who sent in questions. Number one, because you give us great fun things to talk about. But number two, you supported this channel as you did it, and all of us involved with the show. Thank you guys so very much for your support. Hey, a little shout out. It's Monday, which means for those of you guys who follow us on podcast, the next podcast of our sports show, Filthy Sports, is going to come out tonight. We're not going to record it until after the Rams game tonight, though. But if you are following us on Filthy Sports, check for it then. If not, go and find Filthy Sports on your favorite podcasting app and make sure you subscribe to it so you can listen to us talk about sports every week. That'll do it for us for now, guys. I want to thank the guys in the room with me, Ray Ora.
I'll see you guys tomorrow.
Jonathan Voico.
See you guys later.
My name's John Campea, and until next time, my friends, bye-bye.